Hi guys, and welcome to Travel with Cami. I am currently traveling, but not for fun. I am, for fun, but not like exploration. I'm actually back home at my parents' house. I decided to come up for a weekend to visit with my brother and his family, my niece and my nephew. My parents are not in town. They are actually in Jamaica, where they spend most of their time, or, about half of the year or so. I am eating my breakfast of sorts while my brother is at church. It's half of my poutine reheated with some cayenne and salt added. I had like a croissant and coffee earlier too. So this is going to be a sort of quick video. I apologize for any poor lighting. I apologize for the fridge and the background. I may try to edit it out and put like a background, although I hate how those look because it looks fake, be honest. But here, so I thought I would talk about the reasons why I like to do solo travel. And while this channel is not solely or only about solo travel, I do a lot of traveling by myself, mainly because it is just a little easier for me than to try to gather a bunch of people. And sometimes I feel like if I don't do it by myself, then I'll miss out on things that I want to do. So here are my reasons why I would travel solo. One, like I was saying before, I just have a little bit more agency over what I want to do, or have a little bit more agency over when and where I travel. I don't have to solicit opinions from other people. I don't have to consider what they would like to do. While I am fine with doing that if I am traveling with a group of people, sometimes I just want to do what I want to do. And I think that is okay. I think when you travel solo, you also get time to learn about yourself. You see how you interact with people. Especially if you go to a place that you don't speak the language. When I went to Barcelona, I was able to just practice patience because I didn't speak the language, and I would have to, either figure out the ways to communicate. So pick up the language or use an app or use something to figure it out. It left me in my head a lot. So it let me think about myself as kind of like a reflection and a meditation. So I really do feel like you learn a lot about yourself when you travel solo. I also feel like it opens you up to meeting new people. When you're traveling with a group, it's often fairly obvious that you have a group of people, and very few people are going to interject in that. I think it's a respect thing. It's about, you're getting along with your group, you're bonding. It's a great experience, but you're kind of closed off, more or less. And some people may meet. I think it depends on the group that you're with. So you may meet new people, etc. But most of the time, you're traveling with the group. Those are your people. Those are your road dogs. You're not really going to invite other people in, more or less, for the cohesiveness of the group, right? Because some people may like it, some people may not. When you're traveling solo, you're free to explore. So I've met people, when I was in Colombia a few months ago on the first tour that I did, I met two other girls who were traveling solo, and after the tour, we went and we just went shopping around the streets in Cartagena. We went to different clothing stores, we went to bag and craft stores, and we took some pictures, and it was fun. And I think we exchanged numbers, but ultimately never really touched base with them again. But it was, it added a little excitement and fun to my day. And on the reverse of that, you also learn how to be alone without being lonely. If you don't live by yourself, or if you're used to having a lot of siblings, a lot of people around you, you may not be very comfortable being alone. And like the saying goes, you can be lonely in a room full of people, but you can also feel fulfilled and not lonely when you're by yourself. And there is such a comfort for me in just being alone and sitting within myself and just being comfortable, especially when you do that and you can do that in a restaurant full of people, in a room full of people, and just be comfortable within your own skin. There is a confidence in that. And I developed that confidence not just by traveling, but by just doing things on my own. I think I started first with just going to the movies by myself. And if you're not comfortable with being outside on your own, a movie is actually a very good way to start. Just pick a movie you want to see and go to the movie on your own. Who's going to see you? Everyone is there to watch the movie. No one is really watching what you're doing. So that's actually one of my favorites, everyday pastimes. If I'm in town and I don't have anything to do and maybe no one's around to do anything with me, I'll go to the movies, and I'll go to the movies by myself. I actually prefer to go to the movies by myself because then you don't have to discuss it with anybody. It's not commentary. You don't care what the other person thinks. So that's just me. Let's see. What else? And you just get to do, when you're traveling solo, you just get to do what you want to do, which is always nice. I have my own little kind of weird quirks of things that I like to do. So, for example, when I was in Barcelona, I did a tour. Mind you, the whole tour was in Catalina, which is the Barcelona language. But I took a tour of their medical school, and they had an English version, so I could hear the tour or the they had an English version on record, so I could hear it. So that was really nice. I was able to see it, and it was interesting to me because I was a doctor. I just finished residency. I got to see the old surgical suite, really old surgical suite, and it was interesting. And if I went to go do that with non-medical friends, they would be like, "Why am I wasting my time here?" They would just have no interest in it. So the other part of traveling solo is getting to tailor your itinerary to things that are interesting to you. Maybe you don't really want to do a beach day. You don't feel like that's something interesting to you. Or food is not a big part of your travel. So, picking out the fancy restaurants from all the restaurants you saw on TikTok is not very interesting. So if that's the case, you don't do that, and you stop and you eat street food on the way, and you enjoy the essence of the city as you're exploring. That is wonderful when it comes to traveling solo, and that's probably one of my favorite parts. Another part of traveling solo is just the flexibility of being by yourself. So, maybe you wake up in the morning and you're like, I just want to spend the day in bed. I don't really feel like moving. I don't really feel like, going to explore. I just want to be kind of solo by myself. I want to go eat some food. I want to read a book. I want to do whatever I want to do. And you can do that, right? You can change your plans. You can change things on the fly, which just makes it so convenient for you. Where if you're traveling with a group, you don't necessarily have that benefit. Also, when it comes to budgeting for a solo trip, everybody has their own budget limits, right? You could all be making the same amount of money, but everybody has a different life and a different lifestyle. So if somebody is more gung-ho about travel and they have saved all this money to do travel, and they're going to want to do all of the top tier things and say listen, I'm trying to save for a house. I'm trying to, I have 3 kids. I need to make sure I got their tuition or whatever. Not everybody's going to have that same amount of money to put towards a trip. And while if you're planning with a group, there are ways to do this, and I will do that in a different video. If you're traveling solo, whatever your budget is whatever your budget is. And yes, sometimes that can be a bit of a burden. So certain places, Like, for example, cruises, they will double charge you. They don't have like a solo room or a solo price. They will charge you double. That makes it a little bit more expensive. But in the other cases, if you're only paying for one person to go on this, day trip, it's a lot easier to justify a $200 day trip to yourself than it is for 5 other people who are like, well, I'd rather do a $100 trip and use that other $100 for something else. To each their own. But, that's one of the biggest things I think is great about solo travel. So, given all of these things that I just went through with you, are you going to plan your first solo trip? If you are, please feel free to check out my last video from last week on my tips and tricks and little safety things to plan your first trip. I hope you guys found some value in this video. If you did, please feel free to subscribe. Please press that like button. And I'll be back again next week, hopefully in my different location, to talk more about travel with you. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for watching. Bye.